Hello everyone, welcome to SportsBeat on WOUB. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm your host, Jack Zwiezinski, and we've got a great lineup joining me at the desk today.
Logan Adams,
Luke Schmitt,
Cavin and Josh Hoerner.
For today's episode, we begin with a cherry blossom recap for track and field, plenty of great news surrounding them. Then we'll talk about softball and their battle against Miami, baseball struggles against a top team in the MAC, followed by our quick hits and call to action segments. Then we'll toss it over to professional sports and check in on the NBA and MLB, and then we'll wrap it up with our Read and React, Upset Watch, and weekly awards. SportsBeat starts right now. So, Ohio did not disappoint at their Cherry Blossom Invitational, Luke. Fill us in on what went down.
This was a great event for the ladies last Friday. We had some gorgeous weather for this invitational at Ohio University. Just start by listing off, who was there, because we didn't see that last week. The team's schedule was not sent or put out yet. So we had Ohio State, Xavier, Pitt, Johnstown, West Virginia Tech, Wright State, and some other smaller schools like Cedarville and Marietta were there. So it was a much smaller field compared to, some other big MAC schools that were there last year, but OU ran really well. It felt sometimes like a dual meet between them and Ohio State at sometimes, which was fine, and even sometimes getting an inter-squad meet for just OU. And talking to some of the athletes, it might have sounded like the weather from last year could have deterred some of that comp from coming back here, but it was a lot of fun to watch, and there were some crazy times dropped on the track last Friday.
Now, what kind of times are we looking at when you say crazy times?
So the first section I want to talk about is the hurdlers. All four athletes in the women's 100-meter hurdles recorded PRs in either the prelims or the finals. Sophomore Ava Kincaid led OU in the finals with a PR of 14:66, placing second. She also won the women's 400-meter hurdles with a 1 minute flat with a 0.94 milliseconds. She nearly ran a sub-60 while hitting hurdles, and that is so insane to me because running sub-60 is a goal that a lot of sprinters try to get, especially in that high school level. But moving into sprints, that was where they really came alive. Freshman Olivia Mentlow won the 100-meter finals with a PR time of 11.87. Mentlow led that top spot, and they swept the top 5 spots in the women's 200-meter as well. Freshman Sydney Huckstep placed second, and junior Jada Irwin placed third in that 200 meters. And the sprints weren't done yet. The 4x1 team of Mentlow, Huckstep, Lon, and Arissa Leo won that event with a time of 46:21, and this was the second fastest time in program history. And now moving on to distance, this was in the words of Connor Mallon, the meat and potatoes of the meat. This was, the most fun, at least for me to watch, because Ohio State was at the meet, and they were only running their distance. And so this was where, the track was really packed with a lot of great runners. But the Bobcats still prevailed even with that competition. Junior Ellie Greenwell is quickly becoming one of my favorite athletes to watch here at Ohio University. She won the women's 800-meter with a PR of 2:08.85. That's the third best outdoor time in OU program history. And senior Sarah Dugman took home second with a 2:11 low, and sophomore Caitlin Stewart placed third in the event with a 2:11 high. So the 800-meter was so much fun to watch.
That's so impressive. I actually, in high school, ran the 800-meter, and I promise you I was never putting up times remotely
I wasn't either.
That. That is so impressive. 1, 2, 3, and then, taking the top 5 in sprints. That was just domination from the track and field team there.
And looking into more of that domination numbers, they won a total of 13 events combined across the board. The field, they won 6 events. In the track, they won 7. So looking at all the teams that were there, that was a really nice job of the girls getting that done. And even in some of the tougher races with that distance squad, looking at the 1500, OSU swept that 1, 2, 3 spot. Morgan Roth turned around and won the 5,000 meters with a time of 17:30 for OU, which is really insane because there was still a lot of OSU comp in that race. And just looking at the Invitational overall, it was a great overall performance for the girls. They ran some wicked fast times against a much smaller field of competition compared to last year, per se, and especially the rally relays where there were 91 teams a week ago. But, it was really cool to see a lot of senior recognition, especially at the start of the meet for the Bobcats on their home turf. And, again, it was just gorgeous weather. It was a great day for track and field.
And then coming up next, Saturday morning, what does the track and field team have coming?
So this was their, of course, home invite this last Friday. So they are going now to Muncie to the We Fly Challenge hosted by Ball State. And the event starts bright and early once again on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. with the 5K. and that is going to be a lot of fun, especially because the events go till 7:20, so it's going to be a long day in Muncie, Indiana. I'm sure everyone who ran track here at this table can remember those long track meets.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's just leave it where they are.
Especially for college, because they have other events like steeplechase, and especially like the 5K that's not really run when we used to run. But looking at who's going to be at that race, this is going to be a different kind of source of competition than it was, especially this last week in Raleigh. We see more MAC teams this week. Miami of Ohio is going to be there. Toledo, Dayton, and some other local competition in Indiana like Butler and IU Indy. So that's going to be a lot of excitement to watch the girls, come away from OSU, some smaller schools, to play some more conference level competition. Give us a little bit of preview for the MAC championships a little later in the spring season in May. And what I'm really excited to see is Ellie Greenwell did not run in this meet last year, and the winning time in the 800 was a 2:13. So it's time for her to rock. Really excited to see what she does there.
Another thing that we've got to see, Emily Bauman, she broke the OU record for pole vault with 3.76 meters in the Cherry Blossom Invitational. That's 12 feet 4 inches. Insane stuff. Let's see if she can keep that going. So.
Oh, yeah, especially because, we talk about a lot of the track events, but field is just as well being equally as impressive. And, again, we saw that where they won 6 of those field events last week at Cherry Blossom. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can, bring that to another level with the Invitational in Muncie.
And Luke, Ellie's someone who we've talked about for a while now. I feel like, we talked about her on a couple of different WAB shows at this point. What do you think she has to do to get in a position to win the MAC championship here in a couple weeks?
Well, we saw what she did at Raleigh 2 weeks ago, where she ran, I think, a 2:08, and the winning time was a 2:04. Those 4 seconds, that's a lot of time in the 800-meter. Especially as someone who's ran the 800-meter, chopping down even like a couple of seconds is really hard. But she has about a month to get down to that mark towards the MAC championship, and especially towards the meet at Jesse Owens in June. And so I think she has a lot of races ahead of her. I think especially this weekend she can get, more reps. And I think she has a definite shot. She is an exceptional athlete.
Well, just looking at the slate of teams too, like Miami, Butler, Finley, like that, it's a little bit of a better lineup than the Cherry Blossom invite would have been. So, it could come out to having her go out to a fast start, which could help, but it could hurt her as well. So
yeah, it's also the first meet hosted by a MAC opponent. So just to kind of give a little bit of that feel of the MAC championship later. Now, though, pivoting, another series win for the softball squad, picking up 2 victories over the Ball State Cardinals. Josh, give us some stats that stood out to you.
Jack, there's a lot to talk about with softball this week. Let's start off with that Ball State 3-game series recap. And I know Game 1 didn't go their way, an 8-7 loss. But they bounced back the next 2 games in a doubleheader, 6-3 win and an 8-7 win. So pretty impressive series, and something we've kind of hit on all year long is just how tight the MAC standings are. And that has not changed since then. So overall series, great offensively. Nobody really stood out. It was a full team effort. Izzy Wilson went 3 for 4 in Game 3. That really helped the offense, but it really felt like they were getting contributions from everybody. That was the 4th game in a row scoring 6 or more runs in MAC play, and that was 6 out of the last 7. Please, nobody laugh. So we also have, again, the Miami recap. So they took on Miami yesterday and a doubleheader today. So that first game of the series against Miami was straight cinema. The game came down to the last minute. Ohio was down 2-0. Backs were against the wall. 2 outs in the 7th. They scored 5 straight. All of them coming with 2 outs. And it was the top of the order that got it done, with Belle Hummel, Colleen Bear, Brenna Farmer, and Shelby Westler all taking the RBIs from this game. And, this one had to feel a little bit sweet, guys. I was at that MAC championship for the softball game last year. That was a horrible feeling. You could tell. We talked to Jenna after the game. I don't think I've ever seen a coach just that defeated after a game. Then I saw Jenna Hall losing that second game to Miami with Skipp on the bump. So it had to feel a little bit sweet to get that Series 1 win yesterday. And then today, they came out on top again, 13-8 win. So they go 5-2, 13-8 in the second game. A little bit of a different game. And look, if you see my notes for this game, I know you're all 5 going to look at me, or all 4 going to look at me, excuse me. Shelby Westler had maybe one of the best performances we'll see from any softball player this year. She cleared the bases twice. So there was a grand slam and a 3 RBI double, 2-run single, Keegan Moore was solid in 4 innings of work, but it's been a good start to this 3-game series with Miami taking 2. They've already won the series. That second game is of the doubleheader today is going on right now. We'll provide a little bit more updates throughout the segment, but right now it's 3-3, top 6, 1 out with a runner on first. So, Jack, what a way, to top off a 3-game series. What a good, recap from last weekend, and it's been pretty impressive so far to see this Ohio softball team so far.
Oh, it's been great. Now, you mentioned, especially in Game 2 against Miami, we had Keegan Moore start the first 4 innings, and then Skipp Miller came in to kind of round out the rest of the game. This kind of leads me to my next topic. What do we think is do we think Skipp Miller might be a slight cause for concern with this team?
Guys, this is something I want all your opinion on because we've talked. Last year there was a legit discussion whether or not Skipp Miller was the best athlete on campus. That's how dominant she was. Yeah. That's how good she was last year. And you're going to see the numbers on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. Look at her 2025. 1.54 ERA, 75 Ks, 84 hits, 29 walks, 95.1 innings pitched, and a 10-4 win-loss record in the MAC. She won the MAC Pitcher of the Year last year for a reason. She was straight up dominant. There's nothing else to say about how good she was last year. Mm-hmm. But then looking over to this year, and it's a full almost 180. So in 2026 so far in MAC play, now this is before the Miami series. So she has a 4.88 ERA, 19 Ks, 59 hits, 18 walks, 43 innings pitched, and a 5-2 win-loss. So the win-loss is just about the same pace as it was last year, which is a good sign. But this offense is completely different. It's so much better than it was last year. And the numbers, though, don't necessarily translate.
It's also, like you said, the offense has turned around just tremendously. This was a team last year where the bats just couldn't get going sometimes, and that's why we ended up losing in the MAC tournament the way that softball did. They haven't been able to rely on Skipp as much, which is a big, big thing. We know the talent she possesses. We know what she can bring to the bump. But it's encouraging to see that we still have the second best overall record in the MAC. Keegan Moore is doing what she's doing. Allie Myers is coming in, providing solid innings. But Skipp being the best pitcher still in terms of ERA statistics while still struggling, I think is a testament to just how much Jenna believes in her and how much people should believe in her.
Yeah, and this is not to say in the MAC championship Skipp Miller gets the ball still. This is not necessarily I think the cause for concern at this point comes from the fact that these teams have seen Skipp so much. Yeah. We talked about last year during the MAC softball championship, Miami saw Skipp back-to-back days. And it's not necessarily an indictment on Skipp, just, it's just these teams have seen her so much. She's been around so long. We knew she was the best pitcher in the conference last year. It's hard to see a pitcher that many times and not be able to pick up on some things that they're doing.
And it kind of goes back to the theme that we've talked about all year long. Anna Wise leaving for Louisville was huge. It was a huge hit for the bullpen. And seeing Skipp have to take over, there's really not a clear-cut 100% second option like Anna Wise was last year. And that's not, me dogging on the softball pitchers, but there's just nobody that was as good as Anna Wise was. But when you look at the offensive side of things, I really don't think this is a huge cause for concern because we've seen Skipp Miller do what Skipp Miller does, right? OU put on one of the best non-conference performances they've put in maybe in program history. They are yet to sweep a series in the MAC right now. If they win against Miami today, it's their first conference sweep of the year. And that's against a team that was projected to win the MAC tournament by all of the coaches unanimously, with the exception of the Miami coaches vote, which went to Ohio. They were essentially unanimously the preseason favorites among the MAC coaches to win the conference. And if you go in there and you sweep that team with concerning pitching, it doesn't matter, right? Ohio has 53 home runs right now. They had 12 last year.
Wow.
So just to see this offense kind of do a complete 180 and the defense still be as consistent as it has been, I really don't see why we can't be talking about this team being in a regional.
Oh, no, I fully agree with you, Noah. The offense has been unbelievable this year. And just to give you another quick update on that game right now, because it is a rather important game. We talked about just how tight the MAC standings are right now. Yeah. It's 3-3, bottom of the sixth. Skipp is still in. So she's at 77 pitches right now, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. She's pitched rather well in the final game. She's pitched well against Miami really all week long. But it's such a factor, She sees, Jake and I were just talking about this, our producer Jake in the back right now. She sees 10 innings every series. That's just insane to me. It's you're giving her the ball so much. And, with the schedule they have coming up, Akron's in first place right now. There's a huge 3-game series against Akron. Kent State's just behind OU. They have Bowling Green coming up this weekend. That's a solid team, that you have to worry about still. Every game matters going forward. Every game matters. And this is, like Noah just mentioned, this is a team that has the ability to win the MAC. So, the next couple of weeks, though, could be the weeks that determine whether or not they do that.
I'm glad to see we're all kind of on the same page about that. Now, next up, you kind of mentioned it. Ohio has to host the Falcons, who have struggled so far. They just had a strong series against their rival Toledo. Josh, what's the update? What's the read on the Falcons?
Yeah, I mean, I know that at this point that could be kind of a series you overlook, like we just talked about, because of the games and stretch they have coming up. But, this is a very important 3-game series. Every game matters from here on out. So Bowling Green's 10th in hitting in the MAC. They're 6-19. They sit near the bottom, so that's why you got to keep your foot on the gas still. You gotta win the games that you're gonna take. But their starters, Morgan Beckham and Mackenzie Krafsick, have been very good so far this season. They're the strength of this team. And when you have a strength that's pitching, it's very easy to steal maybe 1, maybe even 2 games early on in the series. And, Addie Martin's a solid power hitter for Bowling Green at the top of the lineup. 8 homers this year. She's their power spark. So, I mean, when you look at this team and you see where the MAC is as of right now, it's an important 3-game series. Every series matters, like we said so far. And, if you win this Miami game today, you sweep Miami, solo second place, there's going to be a lot of hype around this team, and maybe they have figured it out even without getting the contributions that you think they have from Skipp.
And, I mean, I'd argue that this is, the best team on campus.
Yeah.
This is the team that
100%.
we should be packing the stadium every game for this team. They're doing something special.
Okay, so Ohio baseball got swept by the Golden Flashes, who are the best team in the MAC. Bobcats were heavily outscored once again in a weekend series. What did you find in this Kent State series, Noah?
It's the same. Week in, week out, we have the same discussion about this team. They played Kent State. They got swept. 11-5 on Thursday. 5 runs is the most that OU put up. To put it in perspective of how poor the offense played in this series, Kent gave up 5 errors in that game, and OU only managed to score 5 runs. And a recurring theme that we've seen all year, the team put up a really, really, really strong fight. You get to about the 5th inning, you get to about the 6th inning, then the bullpen just kind of collapses, implodes on itself. Kent was up 6-4 at the beginning of the 9th in this game, and they won 11-5. Friday, Kent wins 15-1. Same story, 2-1 after 4. And then the bullpen comes out and gives up 6 runs across 6 different pitchers. 13 runs in 2 innings. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You're never going to win a game, let alone a series, if you're giving up 13 runs in 2 innings. Saturday, more of the same. OU held just 6 hits and gave up 7 runs in the 9th in a 16-2 loss. Not a great way to end a home series against the top team in the MAC. Granted, this is a good Kent State team, so you can't be too harsh on it. But just it's uninspired baseball that they're playing. They're playing. It's not fun to watch at all. It's a theme. We've talked about it all year long. Decent first 3 to 5 innings. The pitching is holding its weight. The batting is doing decent. But then there's just something happens around that 4th, 5th, 6th inning, and the defense implodes. It's something we've seen all year long. This season, baseball's given up 10 or more runs in their last 6 conference games. On top of that, they are in 17 of the 32 games they've played this season, they've allowed 10 or more runs. They're 1-16 in those games. And again, you've heard me talk about it just a second ago about how the pitching continually kind of just dies down towards the end of the ball game. But we also have to look at the fact that this is one of the worst fielding percentage in baseball. They have a 96% fielding percentage, which is not good at all. It's tied for worst in the MAC with Akron. On top of that, that tied for the most errors in the conference with 43. They've walked 195 batters. That's the most in the conference. Their opponent batting average is .347. That's the worst in the MAC. They have the second worst on-base percentage and the fourth worst average in the MAC. So when I sit here and I try to salvage a thing or two about this team that could be a positive thing to build off of, the only thing that comes to mind is maybe stealing bases. This team is decent at stealing bases. The problem is they're not good at getting on base in the first place. So I really don't know what to say at this point because every time we have a team with a poor record towards the end of the year, we always like try to think about like how can they turn it around before the MAC tournament? How can they turn it around to end the season on a high note? And I think we should just scrap that discussion altogether because we are looking at maybe potentially the worst team in the history of Ohio baseball.
I have a stat for you, Noah, and if you had to guess where this team sits in the top 300 in terms of earned run average, where do you think they're sitting at?
It was 299 a couple weeks ago. Was Alcorn State was the only worst one. They've done a little bit better. I'm going to go 283rd.
As far as I can see, they are no longer in the top 300.
Oh, my God.
They have fallen off the NCAA's earned run average list, which only goes to 300. I assume there's a few more teams on there, and Ohio is not listed.
So, you know, we talked about, like, the struggles that they've had. Those struggles continued against Morehead State yesterday, 10-2. Evan Lichtenauer gave up just 2 runs in 5 innings. Really, really, really good start for the Bobcats, but then the wheels fall off again. 8 runs in the last 3 innings. They didn't get to play. It was at Morehead State, so they didn't play 9th inning. And, like, just the thing I'm seeing is, like, until Ohio can pitch a full 9 innings, I don't see them winning enough games to hit the double-digit mark. They're 6-22 right now. The worst record in program history was 11-40. That was in 2021. We have not seen Ohio do anything like slightly like close to average in the last decade, essentially, in baseball. And I don't know what it's going to take for Ohio to turn that corner, to be a contender in the MAC, to potentially be a contender among the mid-major schools. But something's got to change. I don't think you sit here and you say, like, oh, fire everybody. But, like, we have Slade here. This is Slade's first full offseason going in with this baseball team. And I'm very interested to see what his approach is to fixing this, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this generationally terrible baseball team.
Right. I mean, I'm right there with you. No, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I wasn't fully sure how to respond there. I was like, that's a definitely a place to end off. But coming up in the next week, what's the baseball team looking at?
Well, they got Miami. It's a series against Miami. They're 3rd in the MAC. They have the best offense by far in the conference. I don't expect a win. I'd love to be surprised, but I don't expect a win. My thing that I'm looking forward to next week is Northern Kentucky, because Northern Kentucky is not a great team. They are 13-18 overall, about 6-6 in conference. They mirror Ohio in a lot of ways. They also have a 96% fielding percentage. They also have below average pitching, and they don't have like the best hitting. I still think that they're going to find a way to get like a good bit of runs on Ohio. I just want to see how Ohio can respond because we've seen them play Kent. We're going to see them play Miami. That's 2 straight teams with really, really good pitching. Then you go up against a team with slower pitchers, with more erratic pitchers that necessarily aren't as good as the other teams. I want to see how you make that adjustment from going up against some of the best in your conference to one of the bottom tier in NKU's conference.
And Noah, I mean, something that also is going for OU is we know they've been bad in MAC play this year, but you know, when you look back to last week, we talked about this last show, is the win versus Marshall was actually a pretty impressive win. I mean, Marshall is a solid team. Like, they have solid players. So maybe it's just the midweek, you know, non-con game that maybe they find a spark. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you'd think they'd have found something after that Marshall win. You know, you'd have thought maybe they compete in the 3-game series against Kent. And, you know, it's unfortunate that they didn't. And Kent is actually a very good, like,
yes.
When you think of MAC baseball, like Kent, didn't they take a series against Tennessee this year or swept the series against Tennessee this year? That's insane. So maybe it's the midweek game that finally gets them the spark. And, you know, I mean, maybe we've just given up on MAC play. Maybe that's what we have to do. But maybe it's the non-con that gets the job done.
And, I mean, you got to look at, like, there's definitely some guys on this team. Evan Lichtenauer, he's a very consistently decent pitcher, right? Now, granted, being the best pitcher on a team that has a 10.3 ERA is not necessarily the greatest achievement, but it's still an achievement that we need to look at nonetheless. I think that there's a future with this team, but that future's got to be tapped into immediately because the more you drive this program into the dirt, the less likely you're ever going to get anybody to want to play at Ohio. It's just we're watching a program just fall apart, and I'm very interested to see how it turns around.
Building off what you said, Josh, I think it's just worth noting that the top of the MAC has been strong. It's been a tale of 2 halves of the conference so far. You have 6 10-win teams and 6 teams under 500. So, I mean, at the very least, the top of the MAC has been beaten up on this bottom half of the MAC. which might not mean a lot since we have teams like Ohio down there. But the MAC has just been a good conference so far, a good mid-major conference.
Yeah, and which is, I mean, it's, what's crazy is, not to go out off a MAC tangent, but there are some really solid sports in the MAC as of late. You know what I mean? Like football's been solid, basketball's been solid, but like a lot of the women's sports are really picking up. It's good for the conference to see them have such a good rapport for different sports now.
Okay, and our next segment is our quick hits, where we give a spotlight to other OU sports with a quick headline.
Yeah, we'll start with men's golf. Men's golf finished 15th out of 16 teams at the Golf Week Stifle Challenge in South Carolina. Bright spot was Rylan Hall, who finished in the top 20, which he shot even after 3 rounds, which is a big accomplishment. Hall was just consistent through the weekend, and he carried the way for his teammates because none of his teammates placed in the top 50 out of 90 different participants. So it was kind of a rough outing for that OU golf team-wise from Ohio. But, Rylan Hall had a good performance. And UConn won the challenge at a -15, which they passed UAB, who had -13.
All right, Luke. Well, we just talked about men's golf. It's a great week for golf. Happy Masters Week to everyone out there. We'll get into that in a little bit. But women's golf also had a pretty tough outing. They placed 16th out of 19 teams at the Golf Week Stifle Challenge. Morgan Rogers, again, had another solid performance at 16 over par, but she was 10 over on the third day alone, which we'll get into it here in a second. That's been a team theme as well. So that kicked her out of the top 25 all the way down to 4. She lost a lot of places in that position. Even though she was the Bobcats' top performer, and even though they struggled from top to bottom, they'll have 10 days of rest and regather. And the worst rounds, though, have been day 3 for this team. They shot .315, their worst out of the 3 days this week at the 3-day tournament, and they shot .315 last week in Georgia, which was by far their worst out of the 3 days. So, again, if this team can close, you're going to see them move up a little bit in these tournament standings.
And that's it for our quick hit segment. Next, we'll pivot to our Call to Action segment, where we update you on news surrounding the opposing schools in the Mid-American Conference. Western Michigan is hosting an outdoor game against Michigan at Waldo Stadium, which is the home of the Broncos football team. The game will take place in the 2027 season between 2 of the best hockey programs in the nation. The Broncos won the title in 2025. Michigan is currently in the Frozen Four this weekend and could take the national title as well. What's our thoughts on a MAC school hosting an outdoor game?
I love it. I love it. I love when schools like tailor to their strengths. Like one of those schools, like or sports with like smaller crowd venues. You move those outside. You make them more of a spectacle. It's really fun. Remember, we saw this with Nebraska volleyball not too long ago. They sold out their football stadium for a volleyball game. Like, this is the stuff that I love to see. I think it would be really, really cool to see more teams in this conference really take initiative and do things like that.
And I think something interesting at OU, too, after winning the ACHA National Championship for hockey, I mean, there's more awareness to the sport, too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily a sport that's, when you search up Ohio athletics, you're not going to see hockey. But, I mean, we saw all the publicity they got for winning the tournament. So maybe a game like that isn't out of the question anymore for a team like Ohio. And, maybe you don't have a venue, but you're telling me that we couldn't play a little hockey game on Peden. I mean, dude, I'm in.
Next up in men's basketball, the MAC is losing so much talent to the portal in men's basketball. It's crazy. Logan?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Akron because, they were the team that won the MAC this year. Eric Mahaffey and Sharon Young, who both made all freshmen the last 2 years, are off to the transfer portal. I wouldn't be surprised to see them following John Gross, who left for Charleston. But Buffalo's Daniel Freitag and Ryan Sable, 2 guys who really get under your skin and get buckets, both off to greener pastures, probably high major pastures, if I had to guess. And then Delreco Gillespie for Kent State, who was first-team All-MAC and probably the front runner for MAC Player of the Year for most of the year. Then you look at Miami, Ian Elmer, Brant Byers, Trent Perry, all 3 guys who probably will end up dominating wherever they end up going. Ian Elmer and Brant Byers specifically, probably high major players. Toledo's Leroy Blyden is somebody that I've seen a lot of high major buzz for. Teams love this guy, and he's probably going to be a Power 5 starter on a NCAA tournament team next year. Same could be said with Stunny Wilson. We saw Sam Lewis leave Toledo last year and go start on Virginia. Eastern Michigan's Muhammad Habab, who made MAC All-Freshman this year, he's off to other places as well. And then obviously you've got the Ohio guys that have been leaving. J.J. Kelly, chief among them.
Logan, do you think, Miami just came off the heels of a fantastic year, and they're losing 3 big talent in and Elmer, Byers, and Perry. What do you think the state of the MAC, especially for like a team like Miami, will look like next season?
It's kind of hard to say right now because we still don't know who these teams are getting. There's almost, might be at the time of recording this, 2,000 players in the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be able to piece together a new roster. Some of these teams are replacing 3 players. Teams like Ohio are replacing 7. Yeah. So you're going to see teams look different, but ultimately there might not be too much of a talent drop-off when we get to the 2026-27 season. I do think a team like Miami has some work to do. But they're still starting with Luke Skaljak coming back for his junior season. And then Evan Ipsaro, who was probably one of the best point guards in the MAC before he went down with a torn ACL this past year, coming back in. That's a good backcourt. And then Justin Kirby, who was all freshman.
I mean, and Logan, if you look at it too, I think it almost, like, if you saw Miami play this year, if you can replace those guys, Elmers and Byers, and I mean the guy we didn't talk about who isn't on the list, Peter Suter, was without a doubt. I mean the MAC Player of the Year obviously made a huge difference. But do you think like it's necessarily for Steele's offense that we know they love to shoot? I mean we talked about it all year long. Do you think like is it a specific target now to just go get shooters in the portal and recapture that magic that they had in that offense last year? Like, would that be the plan for them going forward?
Yeah, I mean, they've built this culture, right? So I think you're going to see a shift to where you had 5 guys averaging 10 points per game, shooting 50% from the field, and a couple more guys who were more than capable for going off for 20. Trey Perry did that against Ohio in the convo when Miami came and took them in that electric closing game. But you're going to see a little more Luke Skaljak. You're going to see a little more Evan Ipsaro. Like I said, these are the guys who are going to be running the offense. It's not going to be as much whoever night offense kind of thing. I think Miami's got the tools and the resources and now the reputation to go and replace the guys they've lost. But we might be seeing a different look.
And just out of curiosity, too, we haven't hit on OU much because there's not a lot. I mean, we've talked about the guys in the portal that they've had. Is Javen Simmons probably the best returning player who didn't hit the transfer portal out of anybody in the MAC? Is that a fair statement to say at this point?
That's a tough question. I'd have to go over like every roster, but he's up there. I mean, he was all MAC honorable mention this year. Deservedly so. Probably could have been argued for third team just the way he finished the season, averaging 20 and 10. But he's going to be a huge focal piece for Ohio, and they're going to need a lot from him next year. So, but I think he's probably one of the more capable guys of stepping up into that role as anybody in the MAC.
If you guys don't mind, we have a little piece of news for OU, and I know Noah was waiting, so we got to let Noah do it. But you and I are gonna have a lot to say about this.
All right, so our for our WOUB fans out there, you know that we do Hardwood Heroes. It's our basketball show that covers TVC basketball. One of the greatest players to ever put on a uniform in that show's history, Kyler DiAgostino, has just transferred from IU Indy to Ohio University. This is a guy that put up 27.9 points a game his senior year of high school, ran away with the Player of the Year award here, by the way, went to West Liberty and balled out at West Liberty, transferred to IU Indy, balled out there. I remember there was a game, it was either this season or last season, where he dropped 20, 25 on Ohio State, and everybody was like, oh, we got to look for this guy. And he's coming back home, grew up in Albany. That's 10 minutes from Athens. I'm very, very excited to see how DiAgostino will play. And I'm very excited to see how he'll fit into Bowles' system as that kind of slasher guard / forward type player.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. And
I reported this when it happened about 5 minutes after Agostino posted on his Instagram. And right after I posted about that on Twitter, former Ohio assistant Mike Sifliku came into my DMs and he said, this is a kid who has been dreaming about hearing Lou Horvath say his name in intros and end the game since he was a kid. I'm not even kidding. That is exactly what he said.
In case you didn't know, Lou Horvath also is the PA announcer at Alexander High School.
Wow.
So it's just a full circle moment for Kyler, and I'm so excited for this.
And Logan, I'm just curious too. Do you think he plays the 2, or do you think he's going to bring the ball up the floor this year?
It depends, because I've heard there's a couple point guards that this team is looking at, and Kyler definitely projects as more of that combo guard.
That's what I think.
Ohio has been rumored to be looking at size in the front court. Somebody I don't know, Tyler Kropp from Northwestern, who has been reportedly in contact, as sources have told me. So they're going to look to attack size. They're going to look to add point guards. Jeff Bowles has made a kind of pipeline here, starting with Jason Preston and DJ Cooper before him. That was John Gross, but and then Jalen Hunter, Jackson Pavletsky now, Sharif Mitchell, all those guys have gone on to make lucrative careers overseas at the very least. And point guards see that. They want to go and play somewhere that's going to set them up to play professional for a very long time.
And so that's huge for Ohio. Up next is our Read and React, where we react to the biggest headlines and hottest topics in national sports. Of course, we have to start this segment with national title games. So first, Michigan wins their first national title in nearly 40 years. Good national title game where the Wolverines won 69-63. Initial reactions to how the game turned out?
I owe an apology to Logan Adams for doubting the Michigan Wolverines last week. I was really high on Arizona. Watching them fall to Michigan was a hard loss. And, Logan, you know ball. I should have trusted you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, this was just this game started close. I don't think it felt close.
Mm-mm.
Michigan didn't turn the ball over early throughout the entire game, whatever it may be. They just didn't hit threes. They started the game completely cold from outside, and they were still up for most of the first half and ended up leading for pretty much the entire second half, I believe. Shout out, I guess, Yaxel Lendeborg. He was incredible. All their guards turned up. I was skeptical of this backcourt coming into the year and throughout the season. Elliot Cadeau, though, most outstanding player for the Final Four. Double-double in the Final Four matchup, and then 19 to lead all scorers in the championship game. I mean, just what a game. What a team.
I was very surprised seeing them shut down Alex Karaban the way they did. Karaban could not really get anything going for like the entire first half. And I mean, looking at this Michigan team, right, seeing what Dusty May has done in just, 2-3 years now is incredible. This guy is a winner. This was arguably the best coach matchup you could have asked for in between Dan Hurley and Dusty May. I loved this game. It felt like a chair fight the whole time. I've seen a lot of complaining about the officiating. Grow up. That was awesome. They were beating up on each other. It was a great game.
I thought the UConn, they didn't come out on top. But it was a cool run. We've seen them make it the last 2 years, but this team was kind of different. And when you look at this team with Braylon Mullins, and they didn't have the guard play they had, Terrace Reed was really good all year long. Mm-hmm. It was cool to kind of see this team that, got past Duke in a miracle way. And then, you beat Illinois in the Final Four. It was a cool run, I'd say, for UConn. And, I know we're beating a dead horse with, oh, my God, they've been good every year. But, I mean, it's a testament to Hurley. Yeah. His system works. Those pin-down screen plays were awesome that he was running. Braylon Mullins, we always say there's a white boy of the year every tournament. I'm putting my stamp on Braylon Mullins, okay? So, I mean, that's my guy. It was cool to see him, go on a little bit of a run there. But, I mean, it's March.
Just really
it's
quick.
March, man.
Really quick, you got to feel for not Yaxel, sorry. You got to feel for Terrace Reed, too.
Yeah.
2 years with Michigan, 2 years with UConn. Those teams won 3 championships in that span. He didn't win any of them. Came so close, though.
Do you think he'll go late second, Logan? Is that a possibility for him?
Teams love him. I mean, he's a heavy guy down there who has experience. He plays that hub role in the post. He rebounds really well. He defends well. That's a big that teams are willing to take, like 45, 50.
And I'm just curious, too. Like, you read all the articles about where this national championship team ranked. And I look at this Michigan team. I mean, they're pretty high up there, right? Ade Mara played a really good national championship game. I mean, Michigan's shot blocking was awesome, and the huge part of that was him. Yax, I mean, even though he wasn't at 100%, still put on a pretty good performance. Yeah. Cadeau, all those guards off the bench that played pretty well. I mean, this was a good Michigan team, and like a good, I would say, like, I'm not going to put them up there with the Villanovas of the world right now, or even UConn from 2 years ago, but I mean, they've got to be up there, right?
I mean, this is a team designed to control possessions of the board, create havoc on defense, and eliminate shots at the rim. Any coach will tell you that is how you win games, because those are the highest quality shots and highest quality possessions you can get, and you're generating more of them by creating turnovers on defense and grabbing rebounds. That's just how you win games, is by securing more possessions and more high quality possessions. Michigan did that better than anybody I think I've seen in my lifetime.
And I do really quickly want to point out before we move on, Ade Mara did not play a second at UCLA. It felt like he didn't play at all.
Mick Cronin was on something.
I don't know what this guy was
usually
doing.
Is.
Well, I mean, did you just disrespect Mick Cronin?
I did. I did.
Nah. But no, like,
are you raising your voice at me?
I just, like, Dusty May's vision for talent is incredible. Yaxel was, he was a highly coveted guy coming out of UAB. Seeing him take him from being a portal get to a potential lottery pick is just, it's incredible stuff.
Now, moving on to the other side, UCLA wins their first ever NCAA women's national title in basketball, absolutely dismantling South Carolina en route to 79-51. The entire table last week had UConn winning the national title.
It was a bad week last week.
I wasn't on the table.
I wasn't here.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I don't feel bad about it. The underdogs kind of win again.
I swung last week, guys. Arizona, Lakers, and UCLA. UConn. I'm sorry.
Maybe you just suck.
0 for 3, man.
Wow. Were you swinging with your eyes closed?
I'm making it up this week. An upset watch. You'll see.
Okay.
But no, I thought it was going to be South Carolina that was going to win the tournament.
Yeah.
And, after that, that game between UConn and South Carolina, where South Carolina just essentially dominated that entire game, I didn't feel like it was going to be close for South Carolina in the title game. UCLA just comes out and clobbered them. Hearing that stat, though, that that's the first women's national title for UCLA is kind of insane to me, because this is the school with the most college basketball championships in the men's side. So, it goes back to the whole NIL thing. It goes back to seeing sports, seeing teams that follow the money find success. UCLA is one of the more prestigious colleges in the world, and you're going to get good recruits. You're going to get good players on any sports simply because of the brand. And now that you're throwing the money in there too, with all the donors from this insane academic program, the sky's the limit for UCLA's women's team.
Yeah.
You talk about this team. It's a team that's probably going to have 4 top 10 picks and a 12-round first round, 12-pick first round in the WNBA draft this week. Not this week. This season.
Is it not
crazy turnaround?
Is it not in
it's
the
pretty
next
soon?
week or two?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
Because the WNBA does their draft right after the national title.
Yeah.
But you have possibly 4 first-round picks with Gabriela Jaquez, Lauren Betts. You have, all of them. Kiki Rice too. This is a talented team that did not get enough credit because UConn had a historical win streak going and a championship that they were riding with an incredibly talented roster, albeit.
Yeah.
But this UCLA team shouldn't have been touted as a long shot for a national championship.
I also thought that the moment with Coach Close with her mom was after watching that game and then seeing that, I was like, this is what it's all about. That was a really cool moment. I thought, and that's something that went viral on social media. So it was cool to see that.
Moving on, Gino Auriemma crashed out on Dawn Staley for no reason. Thankfully apologized later. 2 of the most successful coaches in women's basketball history butted heads. Dawn Staley even said that she was going to get physical over it. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
Gino deserved to be clowned for that.
Yep.
He said somebody ripped Sarah Strong's jersey. We've seen the clip. She tore it herself. He was trying to just create a narrative, and he's going to get clowned for this for a while, and it's deserved. I don't think it says anything about him as a coach per se. This UConn team is still going to be dominant, whatever. But I think it's a deserved clowning, and I don't think it goes beyond that.
And Gino Auriemma is a guy that's very, very consistently, historically been somebody that's going to just air out all of his dirty laundry, right? We remember the rivalry between UConn and Tennessee that literally is only because Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma hated each other. They hated each other, and seeing somebody put Gino in his place like that is it's awesome, dude. I love Dawn Staley. Watching South Carolina pummel Kentucky every year isn't necessarily fun, but I love Dawn Staley. I love what she's doing, and I think that arguably she's the best coach in all of basketball, despite the national championship loss.
100%.
I think she handled it really well, too. She had said afterwards, she told ESPN, "I have no idea, but I'm just going to let you know this. I'm of integrity. So if I did something wrong to Gino, I had no idea what I did." I just think that's a nice way to at least when that happens to kind of keep yourself cool. Say hey, I'm not fully sure exactly what happened, what led that, but at least trying to stay composed through it is at least nice. And especially for public image and being so
composed. If you want to say composed, because she said she's willing to turn the page, but she also said she would whoop Gino's.
I was gonna say
that is one of the funniest courtside clips I've ever seen. Just up and down the sideline, veins out of her forehead. I was
gonna say composed with the biggest asterisk you can think of.
It's wiping out the E and the D on composed. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And lastly, the first blockbuster trade for the WNBA since the new collective bargaining agreement. Angel Reese was traded to the Atlanta Dream for a pair of first-round picks. Atlanta went 30-14 in 2025. The young forward was the league's best rebounder last year, and now only being 23 will start a new chapter in her career. What do we think about this?
I mean, it's obviously salary related. The new CBA is something that these teams are looking to work around, and Brittany Griner is probably on her way out with this move. This was a move to secure a more long-term future. They're saying, screw picks, we have talent. We're going to go upgrade from Brittany Griner, get Angel Reese, and we're going to move forward in this new CBA and have the talent that we have.
Do you think lineups with Griner and Reese could work though? I mean, would the spacing work on that lineup? Like, do you know what I mean? If it were to happen,
I think they could work, yes, but the theoretical kind of goes away with salaries. You're not going to be able to have both of them on the roster.
True.
So Grinder's on her way out. She's a free agent.
Oh, okay.
I believe they're not bringing her back, but we'll see. But yeah.
Okay, I was just curious because if they, on the off chance they do keep her around, with that, I mean, that sounds like a spacing nightmare, but also, like, I mean, inside, like, nobody's grabbing a rebound on that unit.
But, like, the thing with, like, these, when you have two superstars on a team like that, you're going to see one of them, like, one or both of their production go down.
Yeah.
And I think you would be doing Brittany Griner a disservice, who's arguably the best center in the history of women's basketball. I don't know if you let her, like, take this, like, kind of like take backstage while Angel Reese shines. It's not right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, the Dream have 4 players on their roster right now. It is Tahina Papau, one of the best rookies in the league last year. Taylor Thierry, who hasn't really gotten much experience out of Ohio State. Angel Reese and Alicia Gray, who is an all-star. Those two are going to be able to make it work, and they're going to fill in the roster around those two. I think that's the biggest thing. They're going to continue to be dominant in the Eastern Conference.
And with that, to keep talking about hoops, the Cavs became the 4th team in the Eastern Conference to clinch a spot. There are 3 games remaining in the regular season. Logan, big basketball fan, big Cavs fan. How have the Cavs been doing?
I mean, we know where they're going to land now, and it's between 3rd and 5th. I mean, I think they can still climb above 3rd. I might be wrong on this. I saw this graphic like a week ago, but they're most likely landing 4th, meaning that they are going to play probably one of the Hornets, Hawks, or Raptors. 3 very good teams. But they've been really, really good recently. 8-2 in their last 10 games. Doing it without Jared Allen for the most part. Donovan Mitchell's had some stinkers in there. Still playing pretty great basketball. But I want to shout out, like, Evan Mobley, who's just been awesome. In games without Jared Allen this season, he's averaging 20.5 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Elite defense, as you'd expect. And he's just been feeding off James Harden. It was Jared Allen early on when Mobley was injured. It's Mobley feeding off Harden now. He's just going to feed his bigs. And I think while they kind of figure out that kind of how do we figure out the minutes with the 2 of them on the court together, Allen and Mobley, James Harden's going to be able to feed them when one of them's on the court.
I was going to say, they really only need one of them on the court, at least with James Harden. He will do his job. I mean, Donovan Mitchell definitely does take the ball a little more often, but he's still a great passer. He has that vision while on the court. He will feed the bigs as well. Now I guess the biggest thing with me is when we see such an improvement, or I guess a decent stat jump from Mobley while Allen's out, does that create any concern about maybe long-term running the 2 of them in the same lineup? Or do we think it's more just whoever Harden kind of chooses to feed to consistently?
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to make either of them work. I think the bad news is that Jared Allen is probably going to be playing injured for the rest of the year. He's going to Kenny Atkinson went out and said that he's going to have off-season surgery to deal with some tendonitis that's been pretty severe in his knees, which if you guys have ever dealt with tendonitis, that sucks. I can tell you that personally. But I really want to touch on just these potential opponents that the Cavs could play in the first round, because I think there's a good shot the Cavs are favored to win every single game, regardless of who they play.
Yeah.
But these aren't teams you can take lightly.
Some scary teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Hawks, who currently sit 5th at 45-34. Jalen Johnson's an All-NBA caliber guy. They went out and traded Trae Young. They got pieces around him. They have a potential MIP, Most Improved Player, in Nikhil Alexander-Walker, former Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and Dyson Daniels, and elite role players all around with Onyeka Okongwu, CJ McCollum, and more. The Hornets are one of the hottest teams in the NBA the last couple of months. LaMelo Ball's an All-NBA caliber guy. Conconnipple could win Rookie of the Year. I mean, Raptors are still talented too, although they're probably the worst of the three. Is there a more favorable matchup between these three that you guys see? I think
I would say not Atlanta, because
Yeah.
you just talked about that backcourt. That backcourt defensively of Nikhil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels is very good, and that's the Cavs' strength, right? You want to get Harden, you want to get Donovan Mitchell downhill, right? Yeah. You want to get them going to the rim, and then you incorporate Mobley after that. So I mean, the Hawks are also one of the hottest teams of basketball right now, right? I mean, I don't think if you're the Cavs, you want to see them from a matchup standpoint and also from a recent standpoint.
They also
I don't
play
think that's
tonight.
crazy.
Cavs and Hawks play as we're recording on Wednesday night. So this could be a preview for what we see in the playoffs, which I think is going to be very interesting to see what happens tonight.
And we also saw last year in the playoffs against the Pacers, they put full court pressure with great defenders like Nesmith and Nembhard on Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell all series, and it really made this offense uncomfortable. James Harden does give a more experienced look than Garland did, and Garland was playing injured for most of that series, but I think there's some parallels there to what this team could potentially do compared to the Pacers last year.
Honestly, of the three teams, I think I'd want to see the Raptors the most. I just feel the most confident about it. I mean, it's like you had said, the Hawks are one of the hottest teams right now. The Hornets flipped it around. They've been incredible. Not insane this season, but they've been a lot better than they have been previously in the past
by
3
Hornet
years.
standards.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they've been insane for Hornet standards. I mean, they've been scoring, taking games, which is not something we tend to see out of them. I'm taking the Raptors.
I think this Cavs team is, the game I'm looking at in particular is the Grizzlies game they just played. They were without Harden or Mitchell for that game. Pretty interesting stat. The Grizzlies shot the lights out in that game, but the Cavs still dropped 142 points on them without Harden or Mitchell. And we saw Evan Mobley shine in that game, but also Dennis Schroeder and Sam Merrill with 20 points each. There was a stat where I think they had like 10 players or something in double figures. It was a crazy stat like that. But I think this team, I want to hope that this team is so much different from the years we've seen past. I think they've shown that they've built a roster of guys who fight for the ball like Schroeder, like Ellis. Naquan Tomlin's a grind guy, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this playoffs.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I cannot wait for that later April basketball to start up. Now, though, with the MLB season picking up, Noah, what's been happening with the Ohio teams?
Well, I mean, let's stick in Cleveland here for a second because the Guards might be the most fun team in baseball right now. Yep. Unfortunately, Guards ball.
Unfortunately,
Guards ball is incredible.
Okay.
Where's Grayson Wolf, man?
Okay.
Where's Grayson Wolf?
Guards just got done in a series this past weekend with the Cubs. I'm a Cubs fan. Guards won that series 2-1. So unfortunately, they're fun to watch. But the Guards, they're in the driver's seat of the AL Central. And looking at the rest of their schedule for this month, they've got Atlanta, St. Louis, Baltimore, Houston. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that they're going to stay on top for a while. We've seen guys like Chase DeLauder, just unreal right now. 5 home runs, 9 RBI. That's before their game today, which they won 10-2 over the Royals. This team is really good. They're 8-5 right now after that win against the Royals, and I think that there's a very, very bright future in Cleveland for the Guards.
Austin Hedges has been good this year.
Hedges,
that's so random, too.
Obviously, Ramirez has been Ramirez.
You know what you're going to get with J-Ram.
I was gonna say, and I mean, the Bats have been going, especially up against some of the really good pitchers in the MLB. I mean, Joey Cantillo is Guard's new left-hander, but he's had a great changeup. He's starting to get in the groove. It's taken him a little bit, but I think we'll really see consistent growth from him. Gabriel Arias, I mean, he's out for 4 to 8 weeks. He was a little iffy there, but that's somebody that's coming back. I mean, he's got one of the best arms in baseball, I honestly would say. They've been good. They're playing good. The bats are going. Chase DeLauder is, that's my GOAT right now. I would lay down my life for Chase DeLauder. I would catch a grenade Bruno Mars style for him.
And this is not the only Ohio superstar that people would catch grenades for because Eugenio Suarez has been amazing for the Reds so far. He has been so good. Coming off that World Baseball Classic win, Reds are rolling right now. 8-3. They're 5-0 on the road. It's their best road start since 1990, which is a year that a lot of Reds fans will remind you about in 1990. They swept the Rangers. They're up 2-0 on the Marlins. They play, as of time of recording, at about 35 minutes for Game 3 against the Marlins. And that game that they won last night was kind of just indicative of how bad the Marlins staff was. But the Reds still found a way to get it done in extras, win 6-3. They're, like I said, they're tied for first in the NL Central. They're 8-3, tied with the Brewers. This division is really good this year, right? You got the Reds there on fire. Josh's Pirates look good. You have Connor Griffin there, who's been phenomenal. The Brewers are the Brewers. They're tied for first at 8-3 also. Cubs are dead last, off to a slow start, but I'm not too worried about it. You had the issue with Cade Horton going on the IL, and then they're like, oh, he's going to be fine. And then they come back and they're like, actually, no, he's out for a season with a torn UCL. So there's a lot of concern. But then Javier Assad comes in and just deals against the Rays. So I'm not worried at all about the Cubs' slow start. I think that there's going to be bumps in the road throughout the season. I'd rather get those bumps out of the way now. Only team in the NL Central I'm not really too worried about is the St. Louis Cardinals, which, whatever. But no, I think the Reds right now have a really, really, really good shot at taking the Central. But it's going to be a very, very, very tough task with the talent in this division.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, and we'll just have to keep an eye on the season as it progresses. Next, we'll finish the show with Upset Watch, the segment where we pick our favorite underdogs for the week. We got one selection correct last week. Shout out to Casey in the production booth for her Orlando Pride pick. Yep. Her first Upset Watch pick of the year, but let's jump into it. We'll start with you, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, there's no college basketball left for me to pick, which is heartbreaking. But I picked Pelicans over Celtics. They're given a 20% chance, give or take, by ESPN on Friday. I think we're just going to see some really weird games as we get towards the end of the NBA season. We always do. I mean, we get half of contenders' rosters are deactivated for sore left knees. But the Celtics are in a spot with the Cavs where they might just be trying to decide over seeding right now. And also, there's a contingent factor there where the Pacers the Hawks have the Pelicans' first-round pick this year. If the Pelicans win a couple games towards the end of the season, who knows what that could mean for lottery luck this year. And if the Hawks get a top pick, that's a little scary. We talked about how good they look right now, so who knows.
Next, Luke, we'll go with you.
Listen, I've swung on a lot of hits, and I've missed a lot of them, but I'm confident in this Clippers pick over the Thunder. Whoa, this is a positive podcast, Josh, newcomer. I think this game versus the Clippers and Thunders could be very interesting. Of course, we know OKC is the juggernaut they are. They're ahead of the Spurs for the 1 seed by 3 games, so this could be the game where Thunder want to play all out to lock in that 1 seed, but the Clippers also have a lot to fight for here because they are the 8th seed out west, and Portland is 1 game behind at 9. So I think the Clippers want an easier path to the playoffs. They want to win this game. Darius Garland has looked incredible with this new look Pacers team with Kawhi. Love to see the Prince from Cleveland hooping, and I've got the Clippers in this one. I believe in them. Other LA team.
I know I pooped on you a little bit there, but that's a good pick. That's actually a good pick.
Changed his mind.
Want to roll with me now, Jack? Because I'm a
you.
little
Yeah,
giddy to
let's
talk
do it.
about me right now. Happy Masters Week, everybody. This is the second time I've said it. I don't really care. It's a great week. I got a Masters pick this week, and I got to check with producer Jake, but I think this might be our first golf pick of the year. I'm going a little out of the way here. I'm going to Akshay Bhatia to finish top 5 in the Masters. So he's plus 1,000 to do that. Look, why are you laughing over there, son? Why are you laughing over there? And then he's plus 4,000 to win the whole thing. All right, let me take you through some stats here, though. The last 5 tournament finished tied for 3rd at the Waste Management, tied for 6th at Pebble Beach, tied for 16th at the Genesis. He won the Arnold Palmer, tied for 13th at the Players. Listen, lefties have done well at Augusta. If he's putting combined well with his ball striking and shot shape, he's a name to watch out for this week.
And we'll finish off with
All
you,
right.
Noah.
It's a holiday week for me. Also, the Food City 500 in Bristol, Tennessee, about an hour from my house. It's Bristol, baby. Let's go. I'm taking Ross Chastain to win the Food City 500. Ross Chastain is a guy that's been very, very good in short track races in recent years. In the last 4 years, he's averaging a 12th place finish. Last week at Martinsville, which is another short track, he didn't do it very good, but he did finish in 16th. He's never won at Bristol in his Cup career, and he's not won a race this season. He's got about a win a year for the last 3 or 4 years. But this is a time to get both out of the way. Last 6 races at Bristol, he's been top 10. 3 of the last 6 races at Bristol, he's been top 10. And last April in the Food City 500, he finished 7th after starting in 35th. So if there's ever been a time for Ross Chastain to get it, I think it's this year.
Okay.
Y'all like NASCAR?
Hey, we'll have to check back in next week, see how we all did. Next, let's begin our outro, starting with the weekly awards. We're giving our Game of the Week to the track and field team once again as they travel to Muncie for Ball State's We Fly Challenge, the first meet of the season where a MAC opponent is the host, looking to build off their strong performance from the Cherry Blossom Invitational. Now on to our next award. Our Player of the Week is Shelby Westler for her performance in Game 2 of the series against Miami. She went 3 for 5 with 1 home run and 9 RBIs. Decent performances in Games 1 and 3 where she had multiple hits and RBIs. An easy option this week for our Player of the Week. Also an update on softball just as we're wrapping this up. 5-8 final as Miami wins a 2-1 win series for Ohio. Now, thank you for listening to SportsBeat on WOUB. I'm your host, Jack Zwiezinski, and with me today,
Logan Adams.
Luke Schmitt.
Noah Cavin.
And Josh Hoerner.
you can listen to us on WOUB 1340 AM radio at 9 p.m. on Thursdays, or do so on our SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube accounts. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram at SportsBeatWOUB for more digital content. We'll see you next week. This has been SportsBeat.